Republican Party and the future of the MAGA movement, all right? But first I want to go through the story, and then I'm going to talk about it. This is at Axios, and of course Axios hates Trump. Exclusive and secret recordings, Cruz trashes Trump tariffs, Vance. Let me read through this. Axios, Senator Ted Cruz, the Texan Republican. Now remember, Ted Cruz does have a strong background with the Bush family. He came up in Texas through the Bush family, and there's that issue with his dad and Bush 41 and Lee Harvey Oswald and stuff that I don't want to get into right now, but maybe I will later, okay? Senator Ted Cruz, the Texan Republican, eyeing a 2028 White House run, torched Vice President Vance and ridiculed President Trump's tariff policy during private meetings with donors, according to recordings obtained by Axios. Okay, we're going to go back to that in a minute. Cruz's comments during 2 meetings last year are some of the harshest criticisms of Trump advanced by a fellow Republican since they took office a year ago. The recordings, nearly 10 minutes in total, provide an unvarnished look at how Cruz is positioning himself as a traditional free trade, pro-interventionalist Republican ahead of a possible 2028 primary campaign against the less hawkish Vance. This is Axios I'm reading from. During his talks, Cruz cast Vance as a pawn of conservative podcaster Tucker Carlson. Cruz has accused Carlson of promoting anti-Semitism and an anti-Israel foreign policy in their well-publicized spats. The recordings of Cruz were provided to Axios by a Republican source. They were made in early and middle 2025. Cruz warns donors that Trump's tariffs could decimate the economy and lead to his impeachment. Now we know the tariffs are awesome and making us a lot of money. Cruz tells them that after Trump introduced the tariffs in early April 25, Cruz and a few other senators had a call with Trump in which they urged him to stand down. Cruz says the lengthy call, which stretched past midnight, did not go well, and that Trump was yelling and cursing. Cruz tells donors Trump was in a bad mood. I've been in conversations when he was very happy. This was not one of them. Cruz says he told Trump, Mr. President, if we go to November 26 and people's 401ks are down 30%, prices are up 10 to 20% at the supermarket, we're going to go into Election Day and face a bloodbath. Now, of course, this is before we now have evidence that all the tariffs worked. You're going to lose the House and the Senate, Cruz told Trump, and you're going to spend the next 2 years being impeached every single week. Cruz says that Trump's response was, F you, Ted. When a questioner at the donor session mentions Liberation Day, Trump's branding for his tariffs unveiling, Cruz jokes, I've told my team if anyone uses the words, they'll be terminated on the spot. Cruz repeatedly brings up Vance in the recordings, tying him to Tucker Carlson. Yeah, Tucker Carlson's son works for JD. Cruz repeatedly brings up JD Vance in the recordings, tying him to Carlson and accusing him of advancing the podcaster's anti-interventionalist foreign policy. Tucker created JD. JD is Tucker's protege, and they are one and the same, Cruz says. At one point in the reporting, Cruz alleges that JD and Carlson pushed to get rid of Mike Waltz. It goes into a little bit of that. It's talking a lot about Tucker Carlson. He goes on and on about Tucker Carlson and JD Vance and Tucker Carlson. Okay. And the entire article is available on my X, Brian Craig Show on X. You can go there and find it. So what's the deal here? What's happening? What is this all about, these secret recordings in this private meeting with donors? The recordings I trust are real. I'm not questioning whether the recordings exist. I'm also not questioning whether or not Cruz said it. I believe he did say it in private to donors. And I'll tell you what this is about, okay? Let me play this clip first. I was going to play the clip after, but let me play this clip, okay? This is the president, and let me pull this up. This is today, okay? This is President Trump today. Same day that this article dropped, right? Listen. Okay, now that's the president today, same day this story dropped, at the event on the Trump accounts. Okay, so what's going on here? Why is Ted Cruz bad mouthing Trump and JD to these donors in this private meeting? It's been recorded, and then you hear Trump talking about putting him on the Supreme Court. What's this all about? Well, I know some people are saying, you can't trust Ted Cruz. You can't trust. I trust Donald Trump. When it comes to other politicians, I don't trust anyone else fully. Donald Trump is the only elected official that I would trust with my life. I don't trust any of these other people, and I doubt I'll ever trust another politician with my life like I trust President Trump. And I think that's true with most MAGA people. But you've got to look at the audience, okay? As an example, there were some things that came out that Charlie Kirk said after he was assassinated by the Never Trumpers. And the things that he said were a little bit out of character from his public face, right? Some anti-Israel things. And he was talking to donors. Like Charlie Kirk with Turning Point, senators like Ted Cruz, they sometimes have to tell donors what they want to hear to get their donations. It doesn't mean that they actually mean what they say. These are politicians. We're not talking about Donald Trump here. We're talking about lifelong politicians. President Trump trusts in Ted Cruz, and he was privy to this secret recording because he was a part of the conversation. Okay? And he's talking about putting Ted Cruz on the Supreme Court. And this story about the recordings, I don't hold any of this against Ted Cruz. I don't think Ted Cruz meant what he said in the context in which it was presented. The conversation he had with the president was no doubt true. And I do trust that the language of the conversation between him and the president is probably pretty close to as verbatim as a recollection can be. But he was talking to donors, and those donors, well, they don't like Tucker Carlson. There's a lot of donors that don't like Tucker Carlson. And there's some of these donors don't like JD Vance because JD Vance is, on his staff, has Tucker Carlson's son working for him at the White House. So he was just telling this, in my opinion, he was telling this group, telling this group of donors what they wanted to hear so he could get their donations. And the reason this story dropped is because there has been talk of President Trump appointing Ted Cruz to the Supreme Court as his next nominee to the Supreme Court. And what the president said here is right. He's a very popular sitting United States senator. And when sitting senators get nominated for things, they go through the nomination process pretty easy because they're going through the process in front with their friends. And what's happening here is, and by the way, the president made these comments after the Axios story dropped. And there's also a story in People magazine about the Axios story. And it's also in other publications and on X. And people are talking about it on social media. President Trump knew about this, and he still went out there on stage and talked about nominating Ted Cruz. See, we've got the presidency right now. What happens in 2028, we're going to win the presidency in 2028. But it's always an unknown. It's a long time from now. You can't take it to the bank that we're going to win the next presidential election. I think we will. You think we will. But it's a long way off. And Clarence Thomas, he was nominated by Bush 41. He's been up there a long time. He's getting old. And we have a great court right now. And we want to maintain this good, strong, MAGA, conservative Supreme Court. And Ted Cruz is the perfect person to be on the Supreme Court to replace Clarence Thomas. And I think that the general thinking is that Clarence Thomas is going to retire during this term of Trump because he's getting up there and he doesn't want to take a gamble that we have Democrat presidents and then he has to retire because he's gotten old or sick or something. And Ted Cruz, who's in his mid-50s, he's a great age for it. He'll be on the court for a long time. Remember before he was in the Senate, he was the Solicitor General of Texas. So this is something that he's wanted, It has been talked about for a long time. So the reason that this Trump-hating Axios, and believe me, they hate Trump, has this story out there is they still don't understand Trump. Those who don't like him, the never Trumpers, they'll never understand Trump because they're so consumed with their Trump hate, they can't see, they can't see the fingers on their hand in front of their face. They think Trump has a fragile ego, and that if they put this story out there, he'll no longer nominate Ted Cruz. But Ted Cruz is the perfect nominee for the Supreme Court to replace Clarence Thomas. Like I said, because he's a sitting senator, he'll breeze through the confirmation process much easier than anyone else could because he's a sitting United States senator. And also, Thurgood Marshall had that seat that Clarence Thomas has. And Thurgood Marshall was the first black Supreme Court justice, and he was also, Thurgood Marshall was the attorney in the Brown versus Board of Education case. So he was, Thurgood Marshall was a big deal so far as the civil rights movement because of Brown versus Board of Education. And when he passed and Bush 1 had to nominate a replacement, it was like back then, it was a long time ago, right? It's early, it was, what year did he get nominated? It was like 90-ish. The Clarence Thomas nomination was around like 1990. It was a requirement to nominate a black person to replace Thurgood Marshall. It was just that. I remember it at the time. That was the requirement. And look at what they did to try to stop that, right? They brought all that Pepsi, Coke can thing, and Anita Hill came out there with that Coke can joke and all this stuff. They pulled out all the stops to stop Clarence Thomas. It was nasty. It was one of the nastiest Supreme Court confirmation hearings ever. Yeah, it was 90, 91. I think 91 sounds right. It's been a long time, but I remember it. And I remember I was in broadcasting school when that happened, and I just started working in radio while I was in broadcasting school. And I remember being in broadcasting school, and we had an AP wire that had that old paper, computer paper with the holes on the side. And when the confirmation came through, it came up on the news wire when I was in broadcasting school. It's pretty cool. But anyway, Ted Cruz, while he's not black, he's Hispanic. So that does away with the black requirement. Plus, we have other minorities on the court anyway. He is a perfect pick to be on the Supreme Court. And Ted Cruz, during the first campaign, things got kind of nasty, with Ted Cruz and Trump and them. Not as nasty as it did some of the others, but it got kind of nasty. And Glenn Beck, who was a never Trumper then, was backing Ted Cruz. Mark Levin, who was a very out-of-the-closet never Trumper back then, was backing Ted Cruz. But Ted Cruz, I think, has been pretty loyal to Trump, don't you? He seems to have been very loyal to Trump. The president likes him a lot. And once he's on the Supreme Court, I think we can trust him. We know him better than we knew Kavanaugh, right? And some of these others. And the president seems pretty giddy about nominating him. Yep. Mm. See, Trump trusts him. And you know what he said about the Democrats wanting him out of the Senate? The Democrats think they'll have a chance at that Senate seat if Ted Cruz isn't the incumbent. They'd have, depending on when he's there, they have to have an election, a special election, depending, all kinds of things factor in. So the purpose of the story is to try to cause a divide between Ted Cruz and President Trump so that he will not nominate him. President Trump, he's so many steps ahead of these people, and he's not gonna fall for it. I think it's I think you can let me know. Do you agree with my theory on this tape? Because President Trump knew about this because he was a part of the conversations. So it wasn't like secret to president. He wasn't really talking about Trump behind his back. And I think there's an acceptance that they all have to say what you got to say to donors to get the donation, right? It's being a member of Congress. It's worse for the House members because they are up for reelection every 2 years, so they're in constant reelection mode. The senators, it's every 6, but they feel sleazy and they don't like dealing with the donors. Except Biden probably liked it because he's getting kickbacks. He likes the money. But most of them, especially senators, they're a big deal, right? Senators consider themselves like almost equal to the president. They think they're like the House of Lords in England and all of that, and they feel degraded having to go to these donors and basically begging for money. I mean, it's really kind of sad. They tell them, remember Bulworth with Warren Beatty? He played a senator, and he was, there was a play about that in Bulworth. It was old many years ago, that movie. They don't like it. It's humiliating to them. It's degrading. They feel like used car salesmen. And that lifetime appointment on the Supreme Court, that is a pretty amazing thing for someone like Ted Cruz, and it would be perfect for him. So you can let me know what you think about that. I certainly like to hear your thoughts, whether or not you think Ted Cruz would be perfect on the Supreme Court to replace Clarence Thomas. Trump's going to have a difficult time getting any nominee through. The Democrats, they're in meltdown mode. But Ted Cruz, it would be so much easier because he's a senator. And about the story on the secret tape, that this is an attempt to try to get Trump not to nominate Ted Cruz. Now, I wanted to share this with you all. And by the way, if you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening. Oh, yeah, by the way, the Ilhan Omar, the liquid in the syringe, it's been reported, it was apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar. And they said it smelled so bad. I mean, vinegar smells like vinegar. I like vinegar myself. I think vinegar goes great on French fries. I love vinegar on French fries. Haven't had it in a while, but that's always good. Apple cider vinegar. Vinegar's vinegar. I don't think it smells as bad as they were describing, but then again, I'm not Somali. I'm not a Somalian. And these Somali foods, they're probably not, maybe they're not used to vinegar, these Somalian people, but it was apple cider vinegar. So that very much will reduce the charges that the guy is facing. And have you noticed with the Ilhan Omar story, I talked about it a lot this morning, and you guys were commenting on it. Have you noticed today in the news that story's already faded out of the news cycle? Right? Yeah. Not only has it faded out of the news cycle, there have been no deep explorations into the background of the guy with the syringe. It's almost like in fact, I'd say it's kind of out of the news cycle now. Why do you think that is? It's not just because it was apple cider vinegar. It's because it looks like everybody believes it to be a hoax. I haven't seen anyone out there talking like they believe it. And that's why it's fading away, because even these liberally impaired, Trump derangement suffering Democrats can't get out there and try to make this look like it was anything other than what it was. But they are fading that story away. Let me share this with you. This is Tucker Carlson today, and he's going over the deal that the president offered Tim Walz in Minnesota. I mean, that's part of the problem, is that the federal agents, the ICE agents, the Border Patrol agents haven't had backup. Not only did they not have backup with the local cops, they refused backup during that Renee Good incident before it happened when they did a radio call asking for local police backup. Remember, they refused to do it. Crazy. That's crazy. And this seditious six about following, you don't follow unlawful orders. As a police officer, are you not obligated to respond to a call for backup from an officer from any agency? And if you don't respond to backup, are you not committing a crime? Are you not obligated as a police officer to respond to an officer in need call? Is that not a legal requirement, not just a moral one? Unreal. Yeah, because what the local law enforcement could do is not just backup, they could put barricades up to keep these protesters away from where the ICE raids are happening. And they wouldn't need as many ICE and Border Patrol in Minneapolis if the police, the local cops, were doing their job. It's a pretty good offer, I think, the president made to Waltz and Fry and Minneapolis and Minnesota. Crazy. Exactly. Exactly. Correct. Correct. That's right. That's right. Because they are anarchist and communist. And that's just the way that it is. And I think President Trump's offer was, I hate to say offer. I mean, these are things that they should have been doing anyway. But regardless, we have cooperation from Walz. I know Walz is doing interviews and saying this and he's saying that. But like Ted Cruz talking with the donors, Trump doesn't care about that. Trump cares about what's really going on behind the scenes. And you can already tell with everything that's been going on in Minneapolis that things have cooled off a bit because Tim Walz is cooperating and Tom Homan is there. Now, I want to talk about Jupiter Joe Thomas and annuities. Jupiter Joe Thomas and annuities, absolutely amazing. He can help you no matter where you are in the United States. So I'm going to give his number out in a moment. So get something to write with. And you can take advantage of the no charge consultation no matter where you're located. If you're local, you can do it in person at his office in Jupiter. But no matter where you are, you can take advantage of the no charge consultation over the phone or through Zoom, however you want to do it. Annuities are amazing. Your money is never at risk. You don't lose any money, and you're guaranteed an income stream each and every month for the rest of your life. Think about that. That is absolutely amazing. I have spoken with many of our listeners who are now clients of Jupiter Joe Thomas, and they just rave about that check coming every month, deposited into their account like clockwork. And they know they got it coming in, and it's life-changing money for people. Give Joe Thomas a call. He's got a lot of experience, too. Joe Thomas has over 30 years of experience in financial and retirement planning. He's a 5-time qualifying member of the $1 Million Roundtable, achieved by fewer than 1% of all financial advisors in the world. Give him a call and schedule your no-charge consultation. After that consultation, Joe Thomas will put together a custom proposal for you based on your situation. All right? Here's the number, 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. If you missed that number, just go to his website. It's easy to remember, jupiterjoe.com. That's jupiterjoe.com. We'll be right back with more after this. All right, welcome back, everyone. My name is Brian. This is the Brian Craig Show, available wherever you get podcasts. All right, so we got a nursing problem in this country, right? This guy that got himself killed in Minneapolis was a nurse, and we're hearing all these crazy stories about nurses. One nurse was threatening to inject ICE officers with something, right? That was yesterday. A couple days before that, a nurse in my own community here in Florida was wishing death upon Caroline Levitt when she gives childbirth. And this nurse is a nurse that works in the part of the hospital where they deliver the babies. And she was a nurse. They fired her. She was a nurse at the hospital in my neighborhood. It's pretty scary, and it's an international story. So the hospital fired her, and the Surgeon General of the state of Florida has taken away her nursing license. She can no longer work as a nurse, at least not in the state of Florida. Her license has been revoked. And it seems like every day in the last week or two, I hear another story about a nurse saying or doing something stupid involving the Trump administration. What is it with these nurses? I really don't quite get it. And it's not just female, because the guy that got himself killed in Minneapolis, he's a male nurse, or was a male nurse. He lost his life. But what is going on with these nurses? You know, we knew the nurses were pretty liberal, because remember during the shutdowns, they were doing TikTok videos all day in the hospitals. Remember that? These musical numbers, it was ridiculous. And then the nurses all wanted to be honored with medals and all of this, you know, when the lockdowns ended, and they're very self-important. But I'm not exactly sure why the nurses are so liberal. But, you know, RNs are college graduates, and colleges, well, they give us a lot of liberals. But, you know, the thing about it, and this is an important thing to understand, that if you're a MAGA person and you have to go to the hospital or see a doctor, leave your MAGA gear at home. If something happens and you have to call 911, your spouse needs to hide the MAGA gear in the house. And, you know, I know this sounds nuts and it's crazy to me, but MAGA people, you cannot trust doctors, nurses, and other healthcare professionals to treat you properly. You just can't. There was an anesthesiologist at another hospital here in Florida who was also saying inappropriate things, and he wouldn't treat MAGA people. You know, so you have to protect yourself. You know, you go to a hospital, you go to a doctor, you go to the ER, you go to a walk-in medical facility. We see this trend, and you know, a lot of it with doctors. What it's about is a lot of them have a lot of arrogance about medical decisions and everything, that they think Trump was too involved in, and they don't like Trump. I don't know what it is. But I know that as a MAGA person, based on what I'm seeing in the news lately, it's not safe for me to wear my Make America Great Again hat, or my Trump shirt, or my Trump 2028 hat, or my Golf of America shirt to see a doctor or go to a hospital emergency room. And that doesn't just go for me. If you go to the hospital to visit a relative or a friend, or you go to the doctor or the ER with a relative or a friend in an emergency, as frantic as things may be, if you've got a MAGA shirt on, you need to take it off and put on another shirt, man. You are taking your life and the life of your friend or family member. You're putting it in jeopardy, because these Mingling nurses are all over the country. And it's really frightening, isn't it? It's frightening. And it's something we have to look at. And it makes you wonder, years ago when all those VA deaths were happening, was that by accident? I don't think so. If you're on hold, hang in there. The number's toll free, 888-465-2631. This is an interesting story here, and I hope this happens. Air Force One lands, when President Trump comes to Florida, President Trump lands at Palm Beach International Airport. And it's just a couple of miles from Mar-a-Lago, and Trump Force One lands there too when he's using that. And they have advanced a bill to Tallahassee, that's our capital in Florida, Tallahassee, to rename Palm Beach International Airport Trump International Airport. Oh, man, I hope this happens. You know, we have the Reagan National in D.C., Trump International Airport in Palm Beach. That would be amazing. In fact, when I fly, although it's rare, especially since my daughter moved back to Florida, I'll pay a little more to fly out of Trump International than one of the other airports. Yeah, I will. You know, I get cheaper flights out of Fort Lauderdale. I'll fly out of Trump International Airport, and I'll pay a little extra just so I can have the Trump International Airport luggage tags and everything all over my luggage. Oh, man, I hope that happens. All right, let me take some calls. The number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. If you're watching live on YouTube, the number's pinned in the live chat. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Jay from Jersey.
Hey, Jay from Jersey. What's on your mind?
Oh, what's going on? You wouldn't let me on earlier on your show earlier. I see.
I what?
You didn't want my opinion.
What are you talking about?
On your show earlier, 6 o'clock in the morning show.
What about
I called all day long, but you wouldn't let me go. You wouldn't let me on today.
I had a lot of calls today, and I didn't get to everybody. I just didn't get everybody on today. We had a big discussion about the Ilhan Omar incident.
Yeah, I know. Can I give my opinion?
Well, you're here now. Yeah, stop being a victim.
Okay.
Speak your mind.
Let me see. They just found out that it was vinegar.
Apple cider vinegar. Yes.
And apple cider vinegar. And let me explain something that you, and I'm saying this as a white man, would not understand.
Oh, okay.
Let me just explain something. You white people would not understand that woman because, see, I'm going to bring it. I'm black. And the way it is, if you come at me, I'm going to knock your head off. I am not going to run and try to take my shirt off. Why would I do that? If you come towards me, I'm going to hit you. But see, you have to realize something. Whenever somebody hits you and attacked you on the street, you cuddled up like a little child in the womb and couldn't fight back because most white people can't get a black person.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I've never been attacked by a black person. I don't know why you're stereotyping black people.
By white people.
I don't know why you're stereotyping black people as violent and criminal. But what's your comment? It was apple cider vinegar. What's the comment on apple cider vinegar?
Why don't we go to the part that why she put her fist up and tried to fight the man instead of running off like you would? Why don't we go to that part instead of apple cider vinegar?
When you are a public person and somebody sprays a substance on you, there's a good chance it's some type of poison or something that could harm you. And the reason you would take your shirt off is to get the poison off your body so you could go and wash it off. But you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that. You would keep the poison on you.
Let me explain something to you why.
It could be acid.
Why I would. No,
because you're stupid.
Let me explain to you why I would.
Because you're stupid.
Because if somebody walks, listen to this. If you don't know this, because you're a chicken. If somebody walks up to me and they hit me, I'm not running away. I'm not going to say, "Oh, you hit me." I'm not going to start crying. I am going to hit you back.
She wasn't hit.
You don't know that?
He had a syringe and with apple cider vinegar that he squirted on her.
Chicken.
Okay.
You white people are chickens.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen some of the videos of all the white people who call people the N-word?
I'm gonna move on. I'm bored with the discussion. I'm glad I didn't get your call this morning. We had a good show this morning. It wouldn't have been as good if you would have made it on the air. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name's Eddie, calling from Alabama.
All right, Eddie.
Yeah, I was just wondering if, you needed some help figuring out because you seem to be confused about the nurses there.
Well, so far as help, no, I don't need help figuring anything out, especially from you.
Well, I figured that they're...
I mean, you're having a hard time even using the telephone. Maybe I can help you figure out how to properly use a telephone.
Well, now I done figured it out.
Or maybe I could help you speak proper English, because your grammar's pretty poor. But
I figured the education system.
No, it's just
down.
you. People are very well educated. Where are you from? Alabama. Very educated people in Alabama. You just are not one of them. All right, what's on your mind?
Yeah,
Why'd you call?
I reckon you're right.
Yeah, you reckon. Okay. So what'd you
Yeah,
call?
so,
What'd you call in about?
Well, I'm just calling about wondering if you heard that new leaked Erica Kirk audio from Candace Owens.
I did hear that this morning.
Yeah, and I just wanted to know if you thought that was right for her to.
Eric, there's some audio. Candace Owens released some audio that she says is Erica Kirk. I don't know if it's been confirmed to be Erica Kirk, but I did hear some of it this morning before I went on the air, and it sounded like her. I think that's one of the scummiest, low-life things I've ever seen a woman do. Erica Kirk's husband was brutally assassinated by this never-Trumper in front of the world in a terribly graphic way. She lives in fear with her children, on top of the grief they have to deal with. And obviously, Candace Owens is a bitter, jealous woman who wishes that she was Charlie Kirk's widow.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
And releasing that tape, if it's really her, is one of the scummiest things I've ever seen an individual do. It's pretty low life.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one there.
Okay, well, I appreciate the call on that note of agreement. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Sean from Massachusetts.
Hey, Sean.
Well, we're seeing a real shift here because, the left is just panicking in all fronts. I mean, the truth, it can't be stopped, and their lies won't hold.
Correct.
I mean, this whole thing with the Ilhan Omar, for example, that just went to the wayside really quick. This whole thing with Ted Cruz is falling really quick. And then you have everything else falling upward, with Donald Trump, as everything, the facts do speak for themselves.
Yep.
And we're starting to see, and even the neoconservative commentators have faded down. Look, we ever hear about Nick Fuentes anymore or anything like that? I mean, even that's faded away because that was really hindering us.
I told you guys, these so-called influencers, they were canceling themselves. I was telling you guys this. They're not all that influential anymore.
No. And it's amazing because that was just a little little throat stop in front of us on the path to victory, and now that's gone.
Yep.
So that was because it was a bit of concern for MAGA for a little bit because these guys were being irresponsible with their words and everything else.
Man, that's
and
right.
Now we can just focus on completely on the crazy liberals and Ted, an amazing Supreme Court justice.
Oh yeah, he did perfect.
He has been. Yeah, maybe in the first term it was a little rocky, but things has really smoothed out. Because you look at Marco Rubio, the same kind of thing happened because they were all opponents. I mean, going for the presidency, so there was going to be animosity. And now I think that I think it's smart that Clarence Thomas. I had a feeling he probably would retire during this term sometime. And I think Clarence Thomas himself would recommend Ted Cruz. And I think Donald Trump, like you said, is many steps ahead of the game. He's playing with their heads, and I think what's going to happen is. He's going to get exactly what he wants because he does that and he knows how to do it. Unlike the Democrats who are so disorganized and crazy and they're filled with hate and they're so focused on hate. Donald Trump has got an objective in mind, and it's America.
Correct.
And it's absolutely, and that's all it is. And if every president did that in the past, and any president did that, we would be great. But there's only one Donald Trump.
There
only ever will be.
That's for sure.
One great MAGA Trump.
That's for sure.
Hopefully, whoever will be great too, but we can't, just follow in line. J.D. Vance, whoever it could be. I'm hopeful for it.
I am.
And
well, listen, I'm gonna move on, but I agree with every point you made. I agree with everything you said. All right, take care, man. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good afternoon, Brian. James from Boca.
Hey, James.
Hey, I got a scenario that goes along with this. I traveled and did tower work all over the country. I was in Nashville along the Martin Luther King row of hotels, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
And I went into a convenience store, a Maverick or a 5-star, and there was a problem in there earlier, I guess, minutes before I got there. A black American came in there, and he had a plastic bottle, like a water bottle full of something.
Yeah.
And he threw it at the guy. He dumped it at the guy, like squeezed it and dumped it on the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy freaked out because a couple of people had been sprayed with acid like a few weeks before that.
Yeah.
So this guy was, trying to get his shirt off, just like you're discussing.
Yeah.
He was trying to get everything off of him. And then the guy turned around, and I just happened to get a good kick right in his chest and put him out the door.
Wow.
And then the cops came, and they hauled him away. But he did get charged with biological attack.
Yeah, it's pretty serious. It's a pretty serious crime.
Well, if you spit on someone, you can get more time than if you punch them in their mouth.
And if you do it with a sitting member of the United States Congress, you could go away for 20+ years.
Yes, sir.
Easy.
But that's my story for the evening. You have a good night.
You too. All right, great call. All right, got some good calls out there. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. We'll take a quick break and be right back. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. You're listening to The Brian Craig Show. To the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. This is John from Wisconsin.
Hey, John. What's up?
I was watching, you were talking about the little speech that she was having in this morning, and they
Ilhan
threw
Omar.
that stuff on her. Yeah, I find it rich that she's ready to fight the guy that threw stuff on her, but it's okay for the protesters, or rioters, I like to call them, to throw stuff at ICE.
Yeah, that's true.
Fine.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
And the other thing, I mean, it was so staged. I was looking for Steven Spielberg to be in his chair there. with one of them boards, cut or whatever. How many times do you see a side angle? If she's talking, they're going to show the front of her talking, not a side angle with a bunch of white people sitting there backing her up.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I was talking earlier on the show here. The story is almost out of the news already. Right?
Yeah.
And it hasn't even been a day yet. It happened last night.
Correct.
Because because everybody knows it was staged. And, listen, they stole $19 billion with a B, so they've got unlimited funds to pay some lackey to do something stupid.
I apologize for the dog.
That's okay. We all have pets.
So.
What kind of dog do you got? What kind of dog is that?
What's that?
What kind of dog is that?
She's a little rescue dog. It's a little rat terrier.
Little dogs just never shut up.
They don't.
Man, they don't.
Yeah, she's as nice as can be. So,
well, don't do.
All right, well, thanks, Brian.
All right, take care. Don't do what Hassan Piker did. Remember Hassan Piker with that electric collar on his dog? Oh my goodness. All right, let's go. Well, hold on. Let me answer these other lines. Okay, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, man?
Not much, man. What's up?
How you doing?
I'm all right.
I have a question for you, bro.
Bro, okay.
I'm neutral. I'm neutral, right? I don't care for political parties.
Okay.
Neutral. Like I don't care for Democrats or Republicans or any of that. Right? I'm just neutral. My question to you is this, bro. Do you feel like it's correct for President Trump to act and treat the people like the U.S. Constitution doesn't apply to anybody?
I don't understand your very inarticulate question. What are you asking? Do I approve of President Trump treating who like what?
Okay, I'll make it as simple as possible for you.
You're neutral and you're inarticulate.
Okay, no problem.
But I'm guessing English is not your first language.
I'm a Native American.
Oh, so am I.
I'm guessing. You don't follow closely what President Trump says.
I follow everything that President Trump has said or done since he came down the escalator over 10 years ago. And I support everything he does.
Well, then you missed the part where he says that he's going to start treating people as if the U.S. Constitution doesn't apply.
He's going to do what to people? The Constitution applies to everyone inside the United States.
He said he was going to act outside of it.
No, he never said that.
He did say it.
He said he was going to. President Trump said he was going to act outside of the Constitution.
He said, "I don't even know if it applies to me.
I got it. That's called sarcasm." He was joking.
No, it's not sarcasm.
I heard that. That's called sarcasm. No, it's called humor.
No, man.
It's called sarcasm.
It's a fact.
It's called. How old are you? Are you a millennial? Are you Gen Z? How old are you?
I'm 39.
39. You're a millennial. Millennials have no sense of humor. They don't get sarcasm. It's true.
We invented sense of humor, bro.
There was no humor until the millennials came around. Now that's funny. All right, get off the phone, Steve Wiz. Millennials invented humor. You guys know this, right? Millennials and Gen Z have no sense of humor, and they don't understand sarcasm. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. It's Jay from San Diego.
Jay in San Diego. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I am a millennial, so my sense of humor might need to be adjusted.
Yes, it's very limited.
I wanted to discuss the Ilhan Omar vinegar situation.
Apple cider vinegar. Yeah. By the way, you don't put apple cider vinegar on French fries. Some people thought I said it. No, you put regular vinegar on French fries. I don't know what you use apple cider vinegar for. I don't know.
So I was just curious. Are we sure that this isn't commercial grade vinegar? Like maybe the 30%, which is acetic acid. stronger vinegars? Because, you can buy that at Home Depot.
It's been reported that it was apple cider vinegar, which is harmless.
Yeah, I worked with, just recently, I worked with acetic, I worked with 30% vinegar as an herbicide in my yard, and it does have a strong smell of vinegar. I could see where people might mistake it.
It was reported that it was apple cider vinegar. I have no idea what you use apple cider vinegar for, but that's what was reported. All right, appreciate the call. Oh, my goodness. What? My wife just said you drink apple cider vinegar? Ugh, what do you do with that? Maybe if you're like really drunk, it sobers you up. I don't know. Or maybe if you swallow poison, it makes you vomit. I don't know. Who would drink that? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name's Marshall. I'm from Chicago, Illinois.
Okay. What's up, Chicago?
Well, first off, I just ran into your stream on YouTube, and
Welcome.
I want to talk about your hat.
Make America great again. Yes, absolutely.
How is he making American great?
Well,
I want to know.
Okay, you ready? I just give you a few examples. There has not been there have not been illegal drugs imported into this country by sea hardly at all. In fact, illegal drug importation into the United States by sea is down 98%. There have been over the past 2 months there have been fewer fentanyl overdose deaths than any months in the past many years. So he saved a lot of lives by shutting down the flow of fentanyl into the country. That makes America great again. Would you not agree?
I disagree because you
disagree? Wait a minute. You mean more death from fentanyl overdose is good?
Hold on. Let me finish.
Are you listening to yourself? Okay.
May I
sure. Oh yeah. You're doing good. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, first off, he's violated our constitutional rights as U.S. citizen. He is deporting families for what reason? So he can be the bigger person?
No, excuse me. Slow down a second. First of all, you asked me to give an example of something that President Trump has done to make America great again. I give you an example of thousands upon thousands of lives that he's saving each and every month by shutting down the flow of fentanyl into the country, and you just blow off that like it's not like that's all those thousands that are alive today because of him. Like that's no big deal.
That might be so, but if you look at what he has done to our country, and I hope your viewers are watching this.
Oh, I do too, yes.
Viewers who are out there, let me just say something to your viewers right now.
Yes, here we go.
Viewers, I hope you're listening to me. Trump is not that great of a president.
Oh.
Think about your constitutional rights.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so explain to me.
Excuse me.
Explain to me what. Slow down, Mr. Constitutional scholar here. What constitutional right of mine has President Trump violated?
He has violated the First Amendment. He has violated the 14th Amendment.
No. What constitutional right of mine do I not have now because of him?
He is, again, as I said, he has violated the 14th Amendment, the First Amendment.
Give me. I don't want to hear the numbers of amendments. Give me examples of rights that I no longer have because of him.
My God! If you don't know what the amendment,
tell me something I could do. You mentioned First Amendment. Well, we're speaking our mind, and you're criticizing the man. So the First Amendment is strong. I don't understand. Give me a specific thing that I can't do. Hold on. Give me an example of something I cannot do today that I could do before he was back in office because he's taken away my right.
He has violated everybody's constitutional rights.
No. There's something you give me a specific thing that I cannot do now that I could have done a year and a half ago, but I can't now because Trump has taken that right away.
Are you going to shut up, or are you going to let me speak?
You tell me to shut up again, I'll hang up on you. It's my show. It says the Brian Craig Show. It says it right over my head on the screen.
I don't care whose show it is, but
well, I do. All right. No, I'm not going to let you finish. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe if you're new He's taking away your rights. What rights? I can't think of any rights, but he's taking rights away. Welcome if you're new. Subscribe if you're new. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching. Take care.